taking its time.
Is it okay with me looking at you?
It is, and we
Okay,
are live
good.
here. So yes, you can look at me, you can look at the
Okay, because
camera.
I go back and forth between the camera and your smiling face. I'd rather look at your smiling face.
Well,
So
look at, yes,
everyone bear with me.
that is totally fine.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we are live. Welcome, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family. In today's live presentation, we're going to be talking about wellness fairs and how to make the most of your booth. Our guest speaker today is Judy Bazis, and she is the founder of Illuminate Festivals, which she's been organizing and hosting since 2015. And prior to that, she coordinated a series of other holistic events in her region. Judy has extensive experience, not just in event planning, but also in public relations and marketing. We are super excited to have her join us today to give us some tips on where to start if you're interested in either hosting your own wellness fair event, or if you just want to have a successful booth at a wellness fair, just wanting to be a participant. And I'm super excited about this because I'll be honest, I have had a booth at a wellness fair before, and it was so not successful.
Oh my, oh.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to our conversation today, Judy. But
Uh-huh.
let's start with your experience as a promoter, and what
Mm-hmm.
people need to know if they want to actually host their own wellness fair.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me. Really, I feel like our main job as the promoter is to always keep in mind that we're here to hold space for the exhibitors, for them to bring their gifts forward. It's not about me. I simply hold space for the practitioners and the product exhibitors. And that's just really important, to bring that good energy and to be able to hold it all day for these exhibitors to be able to step into the community and bring their gifts forward. So that's one big thing. And another thing to keep in mind, again, when you're a promoter, is to make sure the venue that you're holding the event has the vibe that you're really looking for. Assume nothing when you go in and look for an event space. Ask tons of questions. Like now, post COVID, when we're moving more into green businesses, a lot of events places, they don't provide linens. They've gone linenless. So that's something you just have to ask so many more questions than you think you need to. So go in with a big list. Again, don't assume anything. Like for instance, if you want to have electrical for your exhibitors. Now, we at Illuminate Festivals, we provide free electrical. We don't charge extra for the exhibitors. But then the onus is on us to make sure the venue will allow us to set up the electrical grid, the power grid, and then come and check it for safety. But there are some venues that we can't do any of that. And it can be quite expensive, to be honest with you. A lot of event spaces charge $30 per table, like per exhibitor, just to provide that one electrical outlet. So it's all these little things that when you're looking at a venue, you have to ask all sorts of questions. Again, assume nothing. I think that's the biggest thing as a promoter when you're looking for the venue. You've just got to ask so many more questions, and don't hesitate to go back and ask. Sometimes I feel like I'm just pecking them to death like a duck when I ask so many questions, but I don't want to assume anything because I will say I have gotten burned. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
It almost sounds like it's worthwhile to actually participate in a few of fairs to experience what it's like to be a participant, because
Mhm.
then you'll know the questions to ask when you want to host your own wellness fair.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a whole list. I have an RFP, which is a request for proposal, and it's a detailed list. And so when I interview the event coordinator at a venue, I just sit and fill out all the questions. And I found that, as a promoter, the biggest challenge really is organization. You have to keep everything straight because you're juggling so many different things at once. You have to keep in mind as a promoter, but also what the exhibitors are going to experience themselves. So it's kind of like the chariot card in the tarot, where you've got reins going, and you have so many plates in the air, and that's just the nature of the beast, truly. Mm-hmm. So like you have to keep in mind advertising when you're first starting the event, advertising to get exhibitors, sales of the booth spaces and all of that stuff, to get it set up. And then it switches over to advertising for the attendees, Facebook ads, Instagram posts and things like that. So the workflow, you have to be very mindful of the workflow. Sometimes, you go forward and then you come back and then you go forward. So you have to be really flexible when you're doing events.
What is the time frame that someone might want to give themselves to properly prepare?
Oh, Lord, that's a great question. Because I've been doing this so long, if I had to, I can do an event in 3 months' time. Generally speaking, I recommend give yourself 6 months minimum, because it's going to take you probably a good month to even find a venue. And then, you have to get applications in, and I vet all of my exhibitors. I know not every event promoter does vet their exhibitors. I set up an interview, and the readers have to read me. I've probably been read about 5,000 times, and just it's a chance to connect with them, see if their vibe is right for us, and also if our vibe is right for them. Not everyone's aligned with Illuminate festivals. We really strive for a spa environment with our events. So that's just something that, interviewing does take quite a bit of time. And then so once you do the interviewing, and then of course you have to follow up with the venue, all the while following up with the venue, just making sure you're going to have the tables that you need and all of that stuff, and getting the floor plan laid out. And then of course you're going to have exhibitors, calling you and wanting to know details. And what I say to all event promoters is every single exhibitor is going to have a special request or requirement, little things. Oh, like I actually had this weekend, one of my exhibitors, he wanted his booth to be facing northeast. Fortunately, I'm pretty good with directions, so I didn't need my compass because I was aware of where the building was situated. But seriously, in some events, I have 100 exhibitors, so that's 100 different little points that I have to keep in my head in addition to doing my other jobs. So what I do is I have a clipboard. It's a must-do clipboard. So that clipboard has all the little special requirements on top of just the standard requirements of if someone needs 1 or 2 tables, or they want a corner booth with 2 tables, things like that. So yeah, it's a lot of juggling, and that's, again, the nature of the beast. And as long as you can just go with the flow and trust that it's all going to work out great, things go well. But sometimes, if one exhibitor makes 3 requests and said they're one that they're allotted, I usually kind of joke around. It's like, okay, you've met your allotments. Of course, that's in jest. But you have to be prepared for that everyone is going to have one little special thing that they need to be able to do their job the way they want to do it. So just keep that in mind. That is just standard.
Yeah, I would think you would have to set boundaries, though, at some point, because there are some people, again, that have many, many wonderful special requests.
Yeah.
It sounds like, by the way, I love that you interview people for having a booth, because especially if this is like your brand and it's associated with your brand, you really want to make sure that you're maintaining the kind of image and reputation that you've worked so hard to develop. So I think that is truly a brilliant idea. And then I know sometimes there's like conventions where it's just like a bunch of different, teachers and stuff like that. And it's almost like, a vomit of like different vendors, but it's not
Right.
really like brand specific. It's like, we're having a big convention around XYZ topic, and, it's a free for all. You want to be a vendor, just pay your money. And,
right. Yeah, that's not us for sure. I keep my brand nice and tight and strong, because that's, part of my intent. With Illuminate festivals, we really strive to be the bridge between, the woo types. That's my loving term for us. We're the woos, and then, just typical the community who may not be familiar with alternative medicine or readings or anything like that. So we really strive to have it be a spa environment where anyone can come in. I tell people, it's not a hippie yard sale. Don't get me wrong. I like a hippie yard sale just as much as the next girl, but that's not our intent. That's not our brand. And I keep it nice and tight that way. I send out promotional guidelines, very clear guidelines for social media. Please do this on Facebook. Please don't do that. And it's with pictures and things like that, just to keep the brand nice and strong. And I think that's really important. And yes, I do, when I'm scrolling through Facebook, if I see someone has posted it incorrectly, I'll send them a nice reminder. Hey, here are our promotional guidelines. Please be sure you and anyone that's doing your social media follows our guidelines, because it's really important to us to keep our brand strong. Because like you said, I have worked so hard to get it to be where it is.
Mm-hmm. So this might be jumping the gun a little bit, but listening to this, for me, like, I could easily get lost in all the details. I mean, I know some viewers out there love spreadsheets and checklists, and they're ready to go and know exactly what to do.
Right.
But for me, I'm just oh my gosh, where to start? Do you work with people in a one-on-one coaching type situation?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because that's kind of what the interview is. I not only do I interview them to see how they read, and then give them an opportunity, in the reading, because I'm allowing them to tap into my energy and see what I'm all about, what Illuminate's all about. But then, because I do my background research on their application, I'll look at their website, I'll look at their social media pages and things like that. And if I see something that I think could be improved, I make suggestions. Of course, they can take it or leave it. But I'll be completely honest with you. I've had some exhibitors that have applied that their website, it's almost like a rough draft. And I'll just tell them very clearly, look, the Illuminate standard, admittedly, we have it pretty high. We want it to feel like a spa. And if they have, poor spelling or grammar, or capitalization in the middle of the sentence for emphasis, which seems to be really popular, it drives me mad. I'll tell them, I'm sorry, this doesn't meet our standard, and I'd like you to rework it. And I will work with them. I've actually edited copy for them, and they've changed their websites. I'm not going to change the message. It's just like punctuation, spelling, grammar, things like that. I make suggestions. And I also do have, a designer that if someone's looking for maybe a change with their website, or they want to, zhuzh it up a little bit, I'll send them to my designer or make some recommendations with that. But it does, my position actually goes more into the mentorship, because we have a lot of first-time exhibitors, people who haven't ever done events before. And I really do take it upon myself to help them, get up to speed with what we do. And I tell people a lot of times that we kind of spoil you at Illuminate festivals, because we provide tablecloth, chairs, and access to electricity. We don't charge extra for that. And then, so they do our events, but I have to tell them, hey, just so you know, not every event does that. So be prepared, again, ask questions. And I've actually had people come back to me and say, oh my gosh, you spoil us at Illuminate festivals. I had my table was all ready to go, and I walked into this other event and nothing was done, and so we kind of pride ourselves on spoiling our exhibitors, so that when they come into the space, they're like, they feel taken care of, so therefore they can take care of our attendees in a better way. So yeah, that's something that we really strive for.
What about coaching for someone that wants to host their event?
They're certainly welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to, do what I can. I actually haven't really had anyone to do that. And, I would love that. Laura, thank you for asking that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you aren't doing that, I mean, just like packaging your checklists and spreadsheets and questions to ask potential vendors, interview questions packaging that would be like golden, I would think, to some people that, want a ready-made blueprint, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you would say that. So I'm happy to, mentor someone, because I'm all about community building and cooperation. I'm not about competition at all. My feeling is the more festivals that we have, and the more, holistic wellness shops and crystal stores, the better. It's the more customers for all of us. But I am looking at sometime in the future, not this year, but possibly moving into some type of licensing agreement where people can become Illuminate Festivals licensees in their area. That is, under construction, let's say. So if anyone's interested in that, they're certainly welcome to reach out to me, and we'll talk about it when the time comes.
Awesome, awesome. All right, I do want to transition into now like how to have a successful booth. But if you're watching this on Facebook Live or on YouTube and you have a question for Judy, please feel free to put it in the comment section, and she will go ahead and answer that for you. All right, so let's kind of transition into, I want to have a booth. What are some tips that you can give me? And maybe highlight like what went very wrong.
Absolutely. Well, what I tell people all the time is, obviously your booth, it's your store. It's who you are. And what I always recommend to people, even people who have been doing this for a while, if you're looking to kind of freshen up your look, go onto Pinterest. And I stay off of Pinterest because I can get lost on there because it's amazing. But if you search on Pinterest, craft fair booth ideas, it's amazing what'll come up there. Oh my goodness, you can get booth ideas with lights and all different ways to display your art or your jewelry or your product. So I always recommend that for inspiration. Something that I had one of my exhibitors here in the DC area tell me, he's a really great crystal jewelry guy. And he said that when he started using lights at his table for his crystals, now, of course, the crystals love the light, his sales increased by 30%. Wow. That's huge. And it totally makes sense. And that's something that because I don't charge extra for electricity at my events, it's not like I'm trying to sell you electricity. But what I say is, you can go to an event venue, or myself as the promoter, I go in, I set it up, and everything looks great. The lights are great. And then the light bulb right above you burns out. And you're in the black hole, and they say, oh, sorry, our janitor guy isn't coming to change the light bulb till Monday. So you're kind of left literally and figuratively in the dark there. So to have lights at your table, I always recommend that, not just for crystals, but for products and things like that. I just think it looks great. That helps you stand out. Of course, I always recommend like fresh flowers or plants or something like that. I think is just lovely. And then I think my biggest recommendation, if you're going to be an exhibitor, is don't sit on your phone at your booth like this. That is the worst. That is the worst thing. And I will actually go over and say, hey, I would recommend, of course, I'm not going to say you should, I would recommend standing up and engaging, maybe ask people when they come by, hey, would you like to hear about, my services? I'd love to share with you about what I do. But yeah, that is just the worst thing ever, to just be sitting on your phone, because it closes your energy down, and people don't want to bug you because they figure you're engaged in work or something. So I just that's the biggest no-no. What I like to tell people when you're an exhibitor, myself as the promoter, I'm the go-between between the venue and the exhibitors. So I have to keep the venue happy, and I have to keep the exhibitors happy. So exhibitors, please don't do something that might make the venue mad, because then they won't let me come back, like affixing things to the walls or burning candles and things like that. So that's something that, I ask exhibitors, please be mindful. I'm renting this space just like you're renting it from me. I'm renting it from the venue. And so don't put my ability to do my work in jeopardy, please. Always ask. I'm a ask permission, not forgiveness kind of girl. So I think that's really important. A couple other things, of course, pay your invoice on time, and don't make me run around and chase you. I don't like that. It's those little things, it's already stressful enough. So anything that we can do to, help ease that helps. Of course, don't be late in arriving, because then you're going to come in with this flustered, frustrated energy, and I'm looking for you, and all of that kind of stuff. So arrive early and don't take too long to break down, because I can't leave until you all leave, and we're all tired at the end of the day. So just being really mindful. Just we're all adults. Just be a good adult. That's what I say. And then something, saying goodbye to me and a hug, that's always appreciated. Even if we had not a great day, like your experience, Laura, with not a great event, at least we were there to support each other. We know that, we're here to build community. And so even if sales aren't great that day or something, we're still there to support each other. And that's what it's all about.
So let me ask you, and I've questioned this because of my own experience. Most of my work is service-based. I don't have any products. Does it really matter whether you have a product or a service? Like, does a booth work better if you have more, if you're more product oriented and you have like tangible things to set on the table? Does it work equally as well if you're just advertising a service?
It's really 50-50. I mean, we have like readers who are offering the service of their readings. Oftentimes they have products to sell as well. I like that because it gives the attendee more information about the reader and like what their vibe is and what their branding is. I like that when there's a little bit of everything, but you can be strictly a reader or strictly offering massage or something, and that's great. Or just products too. That's there's really not, one's not better. Obviously, the more things that you have to offer, the more opportunity to make money. Another thing that I recommend for, and I didn't mention this earlier, when you're an exhibitor, always just stick an extra table in your car, whether it's one of the small tables or a big table, because sometimes we event promoters, we can give you, where we put you in the venue, you'll have some extra space. So take advantage of that. That's something that I always recommend, is just be prepared for everything and anything, because you never know how it's going to go that day. Or like the person in the booth next to you may not show up. And so if you have enough product that, hey, I get 2 booths and I didn't have to pay for this booth, that's gravy. That's what I say.
What about that balance between like free giveaway stuff at your booth? Because I know like a lot of times when you go to, different conventions and everybody has a booth, it's like, oh, free pens, free pads. And one of my experiences was, people would be like, well, what do you have for free? And I think like after a while, I got like really irritated with that. So my overall guess is like the venue that I was at, well, I know it's not a guess. I just know that the venue that I was at was not, the right venue for me. So that was
Right.
probably, why things didn't work out well. But what is that balance there? I mean, because if you were like a card reader or something, you want people to pay you for those, because otherwise you're just giving away, free readings. But do you recommend people have like freebies to give away? What's your experience with that?
It's okay. I mean, obviously people have sometimes candy or mints or something on their table, just for fun. But generally speaking, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of phasing out, the free giveaways. I think people are really focusing on their services or the products that are for sale. They want to spend their time and money on the things that are going to make them money. It really depends on what your product or service is as well. Like I have some tarot people or crystal people, like let's say if you buy a deck of tarot cards, they also give you a selenite wand just to be able to keep it and hold it and clear it. Things like that. I like crystals. I think are a lovely giveaway because people they like to have it in their pocket. Something I always recommend for the readers, if a lot of people, they record their readings, which I think is great. They have it on their phone, but some people are old school and they don't want to go back and listen to it. So have a pad of paper where they can write, the notes, but also to have your business card stapled to that piece of paper or something like that, I think is important. Yeah, I mean, that's more giveaways like that. That's more trade show like, and that's really not what we at Illuminate, it's a spa kind of thing. That's really what we what we go for. Maybe a tea bag here, or little sample of oils or something like that. But generally speaking, I don't. It really depends on what it is that you're offering.
Yeah, this is a great conversation because I think it paints the picture of what kind of vibe your festivals
Mhm.
try to emulate. Because nothing's worse than going home with a plastic bag with a bunch of plastic crap that you're not going
Right.
to use anyway.
Right.
And you're
Right.
like, do you know how much of our resources are wasted on this? And I think
Right.
people who are looking for that more holistic feel are also very concerned about sustainability and
Mhm.
what we're just mass producing and for what reason. So
Right, right. Yeah, we all want experiences. We don't need more stuff.
yeah.
Like it's something that I recommend, for readers, and this just seems to happen anyway, is if they're offering 15-minute readings and then it goes 3 or 4 minutes over, and you don't charge the attendee for that. That's that's the that's the bonus. That's the gravy there.
Right. Or a free gift with purchase. I like, that concept you're talking about, giving away crystals. But if someone is like a reader and also likes crystals, hey, here's your reading and here's something, a little token for you to take
Hmm.
with you at
Hmm.
the end.
Absolutely.
So free usable gift with purchase.
Right, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about COVID because COVID has changed a lot of things in the
Mhm.
um, gathering together world.
Oh my goodness, it certainly has. Prior to COVID, we were doing events from Maine to Florida and in the Nashville and Chicago area, and we were just getting ready to expand up into more into the Great Lakes, up to Minneapolis, and we had just announced Illuminate San Diego. And then the sacred pause of COVID descended upon us all. So, yeah, and coming back from it or after it, I know we're not all the way finished with it, but we really have noticed a difference. I feel like there's about 25% fewer exhibitors at our events and every other event, holistic event that I've talked to, because I know so many event promoters across the board. That's pretty much been the standard, about 25% fewer exhibitors. About half to two-thirds the number of attendees prior to COVID. Because some people, they're just not ready to people yet. They're not ready to put on pants and they've gotten out of the habit of doing so. So, that's something that we have noticed. The attendees attendance has been down, but the people that are coming, they're staying all day and spending lots of money. So, it's different. I feel like we're still working to get back to the new normal. I keep getting the message to trust and that this is a transition year. So, I'll follow what my guides tell me and trust and just keep doing what we're doing. And I know that things will come back or, even better than before. I believe that because so many people over COVID, we were desperate to feel better. And so they got online and they started researching holistic wellness things. And some people I know, they were like, oh, I don't want to do a reading online. It's just not the same. And then because they were so desperate to feel better, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't care. I'm going to try it. And they realized, oh my goodness, it is so similar. It's not exactly the same, of course, but you can still have that great energetic connection and get great messages. So that's something that I feel like is the silver lining of COVID. People have gotten used to this, being on a screen and talking and connecting. And it really has helped us, make the world only this big now because, we can connect with people all around the world in a way that we hadn't before COVID. So for me, I have to frame that as the silver lining. Yeah, so that's something that, like I said, we've noticed things are down and they're coming back. This event I just had on Sunday, we had almost the same amount of people that we had prior to COVID. So that feels really good.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for having maybe a smaller venue, but a like higher quality of people coming through because I know that large crowds are a deterrent for me.
Right.
And if I don't really value what is going to be at an event, I'm just not going to go. So it might be helpful in that it weeds out those who aren't that serious because they're just like, well, I don't really care that much about that. But those people that are really interested in, learning about new services or whatnot, they will mask up or whatever makes them feel comfortable, and they will go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree completely.
Mhm. So I guess the message is just because we're coming off COVID, don't let it stop you from,
Right.
hosting an event or participating, because there's still a lot of value in that.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. Is there anything else you want to share with
Yeah.
everybody? Maybe like one thing that applies to both groups, or any last minute tips you have?
Yeah, yeah. Really, the main thing for everyone is to bring your best energy. Big smile and an open heart when you come to an event. Especially as an exhibitor, you want to come in and just be ready and open and expect good and big things. That's what I ask for my exhibitors, and the attendees will feel it. I think it's really great. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Come in with a smile and be ready to have a great day.
Mm. Fantastic. And what regions are you covering now? Because I was kind of, putting together your bio, and I saw like in LinkedIn there were several things listed, several areas listed, but I don't know if that's really like
Uh-huh.
up to date. So kind of tell me what you cover at the moment.
Right. Well, currently in 2022, we're primarily in the Delmarva area, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. We have done an event in New Jersey. I'll be in Nashville this coming weekend, and but I have my assistant doing an event in Bloomington, Illinois, Southern Illinois, and then the week after that, I'll be up in the Chicago area in Naperville. And then I'll have my Illuminate Frederick here in my hometown the end of October. And then at the very end of October and early November, I'll be down in Southwest Florida doing Illuminate Punta Gorda and Illuminate Fort Myers. So yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Usually I'm right in the process of not only am I doing these events coming up, I'm looking at next year and I'm putting the calendar together. So we try to have our 2023 calendar done, around Thanksgiving.
Wow. That
Mhm.
sounds like you're expanding, you're branching out to a
I
lot of
am,
different areas.
absolutely. We'll
Fantastic.
get back to San Diego soon.
All right, so let's say someone wanted to reach out to you and have a conversation about whatever, either hosting their own event
Mhm.
or participating in yours. What is the best way for them to do that?
Yep, the best way is to email me. My email's on the screen. Judy, Judy, at illuminatefestivals.com, and that's spelled ILLUMINATEFESTIVALS festivals.com.
All right, I'm
Just
putting it in
email
the
me.
chat. I need to put on my goggles to make sure I spelled it correctly. Okay, I think I got that. I just wanted to post that so people could click on it. I did spell that right, correct? Did
Yep,
I get that right? Okay.
yep.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much
Oh my
for
gosh.
joining us today and giving us these wonderful tips, and kind of sharing a little bit about the vibe that Illuminate Festivals has. Because to be honest, even if for those of us that are listening to this, that we don't want to do a booth or we don't want to host an event, I mean, like, I'm excited when you come to Frederick. It's like, I'm gonna go to your event.
Hey, good, good. Thank you.
So, yeah, so I think a lot of us would just like to kind of keep abreast of when you're having things and what is where.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Well, they
so
can subscribe to my mailing list and receive notification about upcoming events, and that's at illuminatefestivals.com.
all right, put the goggles back on. Illuminatefestivals.com. Okay.
And click on the subscribe button.
Okay, very good. All right, thanks so much, Judy. It was wonderful having you here.
It was great being here. Thanks, Laura.
All right, thank you everybody for watching, and have a great rest of your day.